So for members, there's essentially, well, there's more than two classes, but broadly there's two classes. Okay. Now the priesthood is different than this. Okay, this is like two social classes or two social systems. Now ultimately it will be one social system. Okay, but the use of force is pretty much deplorable. Okay, it gets you demerits upstairs. You don't want to use force. You want to use persuasion. You want to use influence. Okay, it's like, why do you think that Satan was the anointed cherub or cherub or whatever? Uh, he's really good at persuasion. He can get. I mean, he convinced a third of the angels. Okay, who could just beeline it to God. Okay, a third. That's one out of three. Okay, one out of three angels who've only known the presence of God convinced one third of those fucking guys that maybe we could just take these rules, flip it on his head, and fucking beat him to death with the book. Okay, he's very, very persuasive. Okay, and this is not a negative thing. Okay, uh, he was created for good purpose, for good purposes, and it was going fucking great. Okay, it was going great. I mean, yeah, as far as like a brother, like a brother. Okay, so that cocksucker is like a brother. Now, get to the not willing that any should perish. Okay, and so does God's will get done? Are there exceptions to this? Okay, so if he's not willing that any should perish, okay, but that all should attain eternal life. In other words, God ain't wasting his time. Even the shit that is fucking in the trash heap will eventually be recycled and turned into a beautiful work of art. Okay, nothing goes to waste. So that's a lesson there. And then you got a brain bomb because it's like, okay, what the fuck? How the fuck? You know what I'm saying? And all those questions are answered in the present life. Okay, you can walk around and you can observe things and you can answer those questions. As far as, like, why? Well. I'm just going to leave that anyway. Members have to be, there's two classifications broadly. There's those who are, let's say, engaged to the Most High. Okay, these are people who are not really, overachievers. Okay, this is middle of the road. This is probably 80%, probably something like that. 80% of total members are going to be like type 1 or type 2 members. Type 2, yeah, probably type 2 members. Now, type 2 members, okay, or downgrade members, or, half members or whatever. I mean, they're full members, but they're allowed, like a dog, they're allowed to go do, the dictates of their own heart. They're allowed to do that, you know, so long as they're coming to service every Sabbath, as long as they make every appointment. Okay, you got high days every, month, but Kodesh or months, Kodeshim. But anyway, you got a high day every month. Okay, first of the month. You got the Sabbaths, or the weekly Sabbath. Then we got, the rest of the feast. Now, compulsory, if you're a member, it's like these are all appointments. You need to be there. You need to be doing what needs to be done at that time. So you have a responsibility every week to progress toward the next high day, okay, the next festival, the next Sabbath, the next appointment, okay. You got an appointment between you and, let's say, your trustee, or let's say your granddad, or let's say, some guy who holds all the keys to your life. You got a meeting with him, and you got another meeting with him, and it's on the calendar, and you know when it is, and he knows when it is, and he's ready all the time because he's perfect, and you better damn well be ready. If you want to commune with him, you got to make the appointments. So, if you're a member, you make all the appointments. You're present. You're there. We don't expect perfection off the bat from like 80%, okay? But 20%, and this might be actually more like 1/20th, like 5%, but it could be something like 20%, are going to be willing to give up everything. So the main distinction here is 80%, or, type 2 members, they're allowed to own businesses. They're allowed to own businesses. They're allowed to own lands. They're allowed to own cars, helicopters, the whole shebang. They're allowed to do that shit. They can get rich, and then the counterpoint to that is they can get poor. That sounds absolutely terrible, dude. They can get rich, they can get poor. Okay, that's type 2. Type 1 members, they've given up everything. Okay, they don't own any private land, any private property. Nothing that they own, right? They don't own anything of themselves. All of that to others. Okay, so this is you put it to your battle buddy. Okay, your battle buddy is a trustee on your account. He gets to decide some shit for you. The essential difference here is that type 2 members can be self-willed. Type 1 members cannot be self-willed. Okay, you want to do something, I don't give a fuck. What you need to do is you need to convince your battle buddy and your captain, maybe your lieutenant or whatever, or 5 or sergeant or whatever. You got to convince your sergeant, convince your captain, at least up to this level, according to how much money you're talking about, or what kind of category this activity or idea falls under. You got to convince him to do it, right? Say, hey, I want to do this, da 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 da. And all you need to do is say, yeah, so I looked into this a little bit, and I want to become a helicopter pilot. Can we do that? And your sergeant goes, maybe. You aren't competent in shit. He goes to the captain. He says, hey, man, one of my guys wants to go get checked out as a helicopter pilot. And the captain looks at the budget and shit, says, well, for that, I'm going to have to go to the 50 guy. So you go to the 50 guy. Go to the 50 guy and you say, hey, man, I might need like 200 G's just to get this guy checked out as a pilot. He can totally do it. So, probably, God, awful. Holy shit. It's like he can do it, so probably, 95% chance or better that it's going to be successful, or money well spent. We'll be able to, recoup our investment. And so the 50 guy releases the funds. Shazam, you're signed up to Hilo School. And so I'm glad you mentioned that to me on Sunday, right? On the first day of the week. Because that's the day to decide what you're going to focus on for the week. And so you bring that up, blam, first day, make a couple calls. Second day, now you're making calls, okay, but you're not making calls. Your captain's making calls. Your sergeant's making calls. Whoever's responsible for it. You're not responsible for you, okay? That's the essential thing. You are not responsible for you. You're responsible for letting your brothers know what you want. They are responsible for proving the validity of that, the godliness of that, the holiness of that, and then executing. They need to formulate a plan. They're going to ask you follow-up questions. If they're worth their salt, they're going to ask you follow-up questions. You say, okay, well, what do you got your heart set on? Are you talking little birds? You want to go bigger? You want to go maritime? High altitude? What are you thinking? Follow-up questions. How long do you expect to do this? Hey, do you think you'll be able to train people once you're done? Bunches of follow-up questions. Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, we're cutting checks. Thursday, you're signing up, cutting checks. Friday, you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, oh yeah. Prepare for the Sabbath. And then you go do your Sabbath and you just rest. You're like, oh yeah, dude. Fucking. 2 days and I'm going to be at Hilo school. Da 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 da. So this is something, type 1 members, there's no limit. Okay, that's essentially what it is. By giving up your self-will and then putting your life in the hands of your brothers, okay, and you have to trust your brothers. Your brothers better be fucking out for you, okay? No selfishness allowed. You can only think about others. There's very few exceptions, okay, and all of them are combat related. So if you're not in combat and you're not thinking about someone else, okay, specifically your brother, unless you're assigned to thinking about a foreigner. But if you're not assigned to think about a foreigner, then you should always be thinking about how you're going to help your brother or your sister or whatever. But mainly brothers, because the whole women thing is going to be a separate thing, like almost completely separate. You're not even going to have any fucking idea what's going on there. And that's how it's supposed to be. The women have their thing going on, the men have their thing going on. And this allows for surprises, keeps everybody on their toes. The women have this thing going on, and whoop-de-whoop, we're having a party today. Fuck yeah, da-da-da-da-da. Now, obviously, the women are good women, so they got everything taken care of. They have everything planned out. Got to figure it out. And so you just get on the ride. Go on the ride. The women have prepared. They get a whole day to make your life fucking awesome. You just go on the ride. The women prepared, and then you're off the ride. Should be refreshed, and now you can brainstorm and get back to projects. Get some shit done. Let's go. Move. And then you got to return the favor. So one of your projects is going to be planning a surprise party for the women, and then da. Surprise the shit out of everybody. The women and the children will be like, "What? No fucking way!" And you just tit for tat. So instead of slapping each other or shooting each other, you tit for tat, and they do a surprise party for you, and you do a surprise party for them. They're thinking about you, so they go spend some money and just get you a gift because they think they saw you do something the other day, and it got them thinking that this is actually a legit person. Let's get them a necklace. Let's signify that they're a legit fucking person, and you better look at this guy. And when you see him, you see the bling around his neck, and that bling came from his brother. He didn't go buy that at the store. His brother decided that he should be set apart and look more blingy than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? This is a legitimate thing. And then dude gets prideful, puffs out his chest, look at my chain, and motion to take the chain. Granted, boom, you don't have a chain, motherfucker. You gotta wait an entire year before you can qualify for a chain again. Don't fuck it up next time if you earn it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the main differences. Type 1 members are selfless. Type 2 members are allowed to be somewhat selfish. Okay? And then you got your associates. Lots of it's complicated as fuck when you talk about associates. You boil it down into a few or several, just a handful or a couple of handfuls of maxims. But this is more advanced stuff for the everyman. You don't have to worry about or concern yourself with dealing with foreigners because you ain't dealing with foreigners. For the everyman, you're dealing with homeborns Okay, you're dealing with brothers, neighbors, sisters, grandmas, all your family. That's who you're dealing with. Type 2 members, yeah, you go out, it's going to be like, America or whatever. You're going to have freedom to do this and that. There's going to be more guidelines and rules. Lots of things are off limits. But then all you got to do is refocus your energy, and there's plenty of things that are within the limits. So it's like you want to pout that thing is off limits. It's like you're dumb. You just need to think about what God wants for you. Stop thinking about what you want. Go throw your fit. Come back here, a couple days when you're fucking petered out, and then we'll start this. But yeah, that's the main difference. Selfish, selfless, and the associates is a separate thing. That's pretty much what I wanted to get out there. Took a fucking hell of a long time.